Turn that off. It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome to another edition of No Pad Sports Talk, your Major League Baseball trade deadline special. I am JD.
And I'm Steve, and as you can tell on our faces, we're not super excited about what happened. There were some couple of exciting trades, that happened over the last few days.
Yeah.
Namely today with the Justin Verlander going back to the Astros.
Yeah, that was cool.
Like the Mets just played the song "Return to Sender" from I think Elvis Presley sang that song, and they sent him back.
They sent him back
with some money
and got something in return.
Yeah. So while the Mets GM, was it the GM that said that they weren't in a fire sale?
Yeah.
Their deals over the last 4 days, well, since the Max Scherzer trade, says otherwise.
It seems like it,
right?
Yeah.
So
they got rid of Nimmo and Kana and Scherzer and Verlander. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't they get rid of a reliever? Or was that the reliever that came from the Mets?
Yeah, they got rid of a reliever too. Robertson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might not call it a fire sale, sir, but to me, based on the prospects and everything, because you got mostly prospects for those players, Max Scherzer, actually, I saw something, he was kind of spilling the beans. He's like, look, these guys aren't going to be ready for 2-3 years. So, like, they're prepping for the future.
I mean, they got good pieces in place.
Yeah.
But when you're at the end of your career, like Verlander and Scherzer and stuff, you're not wanting to wait around, so.
Plus the money they're going to have to spend on those two players. Still. Right?
Yeah.
So, it's, they're building for the future. So, while they didn't use the term rebuild, we did.
Yeah, most certainly. It most certainly is a rebuild.
So, let's talk about the disappointments. Because we had a podcast where we talked about what the Tigers' opportunities were for trading players, to sell.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So, one of those targets, Michael Lorenzen, did leave. He went to the Phillies. So he's actually with a contender.
Yes. And I really expected him to be with Baltimore. I really thought, even before all the chatter was coming out that, Baltimore was interested, I really thought Lorenzen was going to Baltimore. I just thought it made the most sense. You got a decent starting pitcher, which they need, and that's not going to cost all that much.
Right.
It fits Baltimore's MO, I thought. So I really expected them to be the ones trying to get Lorenzen, but it turned out, no. Phillies kind of surprised everyone.
Yeah, and then I think the biggest disappointment, on the Tigers side is
not getting rid of Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm sure it's already out there already, but just in case you don't know, there was a deal in place, it sounded like, going for Rodriguez to go to the Dodgers.
Yep.
We don't know, as of right now anyways, what the Dodgers are planning to give up for him. I know that when we did our podcast, looking at this, I was hoping to get one of their catchers. I didn't think it would be Diego Cartaya because of him being so good and their number one prospect. But I was kind of hoping it'd be Dalton Rushing, if that's the case. I know he was still number 3 on their list, but I mean, you already got a starting catcher in the big leagues, and you got Diego Cartaya, as your number one prospect. So I kind of thought that Dalton Rushing was excess. You might want to use him, So and we don't know if that was the case or not. It would definitely be a big bummer if that was the case, getting somebody that you kind of needed in a position of need.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know. But whatever happened, Eduardo Rodriguez vetoed the trade because in his contract he had 10 teams that he could veto being traded to, and Dodgers was one of those teams.
Dodgers were one of those teams.
That's what happened. And it happened right towards the end of the trade deadline, an hour left.
Within the hour, yeah.
And so it looks like not only did he kind of screw up with the Tigers, but it sounded like he kind of screwed up with the Dodgers' plans too, because Dodgers weren't able to scramble and get anybody either. So.
They missed out on Verlander, I think, because they were working on the Rodriguez thing. So they didn't get anybody. Or I guess they didn't get any of the two people that they were trying to get. So, yeah. I'm not saying... I can't say it's good or bad to want to be... But it sounds like Rodriguez is going to opt out. So basically, the Tigers can offer him a qualifying deal. And if he signs with somebody else, we get a compensation pick next year, I guess. That's kind of how... I think that's what I read. I assume that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we don't think he's going to come back next year. He's going to opt out, right?
Opt out.
And become a free agent. We'll give him a deal. And then he'll go someplace else. So, It is what it is.
It's
just kind of sad because there was a little bit of buzz, a lot of buzz, a little excitement about what the Tigers could get in return for those pitchers.
Well, it was one of our best trading chips in quite a while.
Yeah.
And, and we talked about it kind of off air a little bit. I thought kind of waiting to the deadline was kind of in the Tigers' favor, because then you're going to have a bunch of teams that ain't starting pitching, and you might be able to start a trade war for that. And I don't really know. I'm not a GM and never have been, but what I'm wondering is, could a simple conversation have solved this, right? Like, if you're the GM, you have to know he has a no-trade clause. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't know that, right? So, why don't,
why put in all the work?
Steve, I know you got no trade clause, with 10 teams.
Yep.
I'm sure you heard the buzz. There's, we're not doing so well. We're looking to trade away some pieces, and one of the pieces we're looking to trade away. Out of those 10 teams, would you be willing to be traded? Would you revoke your no trade clause for any of the 10 teams you have in it? So it's just so I know I don't have to talk to them, right?
Yeah.
Like, would you be willing to go to Dodgers or the Padres? We don't know. We just want the Dodgers on it. But would you be willing to go to any of those teams that are in contention right now if we were to trade you?
No, I'm going to stick with what I got.
Okay, so there you go, right? Like, then you just don't waste time talking to those 10 teams. Like, I don't know. I don't know why that conversation wasn't had. It just makes sense to me.
And that's not even a conversation with the player. It's just a conversation with the agent.
Right, and the agent's talking to the player.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? So, bottom line is, it should have happened.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
It seems the Tigers missed out.
Yes.
By simply not asking the question. If they had asked the question ahead of time, just like you're saying, we could have avoided all that, and picked another team could have come out and got them. They might have had offers from other teams, but because of what you're asking, and then they went another way. So now we missed out on that.
Exactly.
Right?
It went a different way. Yep.
So it could have been, it could have gone to the Orioles, right? It could have gone to the Reds.
I mean, there's so many things. I mean, yeah.
To me, you would think a player's going to want to go somewhere where they have an opportunity, but in his contract, there are 10 teams, which is weird, right? Like a standard no trade clause to me is like I have the right to first right of refusal for any trade, right? But to say nope, you don't have to ask me because it's one of these 10 teams. Nope, like to be specific about that in your contract.
So we know that the Orioles did indeed trade for starting pitching. They got Flaherty.
Yep.
From the Cardinals, right? Now the prospects they got in return for Flaherty was Prito and Rom. So number 16 and 18 in the Orioles system.
Right.
So it's not like they got any of their top prospects for the Orioles, and maybe that's the reason why that the Tigers were looking more to the Dodgers as opposed to the Orioles because they might be getting a higher return for them. So, but I said from the beginning, I don't think the Orioles were going to trade away any of their top prospects. It wasn't expected. So
no, them or the Reds, just because of how they built their system,
right?
Yeah,
and but no, I'm just disappointed. And we can't talk about the trade that did happen. right? Hao Yu Lee, he's coming over to the Tigers now.
Yep. For Michael Lorenzen. Who went to the Phillies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's talk about that this kid, because that's for us. That's what he is. He's a kid.
Oh, yeah, he's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't even drink yet, so he can go to Canada.
Well, now he can.
He can now.
Right, yeah.
That's right.
So, look, if you watched any of our draft coverage for the MLB here, one of the things that was discussed is we'll be able to see, this is a new regime. We don't know what they're doing, but we'll be able to get an idea of what their plan is based on how they draft.
Yeah.
And one thing that we noticed with the players they drafted, position players, not pitchers, position players that they drafted, is that they don't really look for a big power hitter. You know, like, yeah, they might get, 15, 20 home runs a year, but, the people that they were looking at and they drafted probably aren't going to hit 40 or more home runs a year. That's probably outside their scope of abilities. But what they do well is they have an advanced approach at the plate. They make good contact with the ball, and they don't strike out a ton, right? So that's what this guy does, right? He will put the bat in the ball and not strike out. So, but what we see is they got a plan. Mm-hmm. And I think for so long, with the last regime, there was no plan. It just seemed like, we'll take a piece here, a piece there. We'll try this today and that tomorrow, right? Like there was nothing cohesive. But this regime, we're seeing quite the opposite. They have a type of player they like, and they keep going back to that player over and over and over again. Yeah. Someone that is going to work the pitcher, get a bat on the ball,
yep,
and have a pretty high on base percentage. I think that's what they're looking for.
Yep.
So
the only thing about him that I saw based on some of the numbers on his high A is the number of strikeouts worries me.
So he's still under 20%, which is below the average right now.
All right.
So that's the only thing I'm looking for. Like, I would like more of the strikeouts and walks to be, a little more 1-to-1, right? A little bit closer. But yeah, strikeout percentage is not absurdly high or anything.
Okay. The other thing I think I saw, he's about a 280 right now.
Yep.
But he's not moved up to Double-A yet. I hadn't seen any.
Nope, just high A.
In the couple of years that he's been in their farm system already, he hasn't made it to that Double-A yet.
No.
So he's played some rookie ball, right?
Rookie, low A, and high A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So still a developmental piece, which is fine because when you look at the Tigers system,
mm-hmm.
the Tigers don't have that, right? So hopefully they're getting coaching and that can work with those players to actually create a better farm system for us.
Correct.
By using what we've got.
Using what we got.
Right.
So, yeah, what we're looking at with him being 20 years old, and he just turned 20 about 3 months ago, roughly. So, he's still pretty young. So next year would be at the beginning of the year, be the start of his 21-year-old season. At 21, you would definitely want to see him in Double-A. If he's not in Double-A by the time he's 21 years old, it's definitely time to start wondering if this guy is going to make it in the majors. Because now maybe he's a late bloomer and he comes at 25 or 26, possibility, but obviously you would want that a little bit sooner. So whereas, and I've seen a lot of negativity surrounding this guy, just because he's kind of an unknown. But again, for Michael Lorenzen, you weren't going to get a top prospect. It just wasn't going to happen.
We don't have those aces that covet those types of the players that people think that we should have gotten.
No.
Right? Or the prospects that we should have gotten.
I mean, Lorenzen's not a Scherzer. He's not a Verlander, right? He's
and he's Lorenzen's younger, right?
Oh, he's definitely younger. Yeah. And the thing about it too is the trade Like what they got for Verlander is actually really nice.
Yeah.
For the Astros, they got their number 1 and number 4 prospects.
Right.
And Gilbert is no slouch.
Yeah.
So.
And what did they get for Scherzer? You remember?
No.
Certain.
But I don't remember that. I know it just happened, and you think I would remember a big trade like that, but what they got for him. But
well,
no,
I figure we're so. I don't even remember what team he went to.
But at any rate,
There was so much happening today, and we've trying to. There we go.
no. There it is. Acuna, of course, Acuna.
That's right.
I knew it. I can't believe I forgot about that.
So
Jeez.
and that's the same Acuna that's related to the guy's
Ronald
he's
from
pushing
Atlanta.
400, right? He's like 381 now.
No. Ronald Acuna is the guy that has 20 home runs and 50 steals.
Oh, that was okay.
Yeah.
Araya is the other guy with 400.
Arraez, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I get it. We got him confused.
But yeah, Acuna was a big haul for the Rangers to give up for Scherzer.
Mm-hmm.
So now they got an infielder in Acuna, and they got the outfield prospects.
Yeah.
So with Gilbert and Clifford. So
Yeah.
I don't know, like they did good, but again, they had the 2 big aces, but they're also eating a bunch of that money.
They are. So yeah, like we said earlier, the Mets are.
The Mets will send $35 million to the Astros to cover some of Verlander's contract. An additional $17.5 million if to Houston if Verlander options to go back to 2025. So that's a total potentially $52 million, $52.5 million.
Yeah, and it was 43 million, right? I think is what they were gonna pay for Scherzer. So that's
is it? Did he actually was it off 40 million?
over 2 years because it was like 16 mil or something this year with another 32 mil.
They paid all but $22.5 million of salary as part of the deal. So New York will cover a total of $35 million. So yeah, $35 million for that one.
So 35 million plus the other 44. I mean, that's basically almost $80 million that they're going to pay other players that aren't even on their team.
$87.5 million.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's gotta hurt, right?
It's going to hurt.
Ouch.
That's going to hurt.
Jeez. But yeah, so, but again, Lorenzen's not those guys. You're not going to get a good return for him. So,
and he was an all-star this year, right? Yeah, and he's having an okay year.
Yeah,
it's not like, right?
Year. Yeah,
but he's
sure.
He's not that name.
Well, he's not going to be a front-end starter.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
he's a rotational guy.
Yeah, little mid to back end.
Yeah.
So you're not going to give up anybody like big name for that.
Right.
But it was we're going to lose him at the end of the year anyways because he was only on a 1-year deal.
Yep.
So being able to get something for him is better than nothing.
Yep.
And again, Hao Yu Lee, he's fits the mold of the players they've been putting on this team.
Yeah.
So whereas we as normal everyday fans, because I certainly had no idea about this prospect, to be honest with you. I had to look him up and figure out who this guy was and everything else. But
did a quick research, some just looking at the numbers,
and watched a couple highlights. The guy has a pretty quick swing.
Yeah.
And
his defense, pretty good, right?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, he's pretty good at defending. Like he's a lot of people think he's going to be a second baseman in the majors. But he has played second, short, and third.
Right. So he's got that versatility to be able to move around in the infield.
And that's something else they like. We talked about it before.
Yeah.
They carry a lot of pitching now.
Yep.
Right, because of pitchers going 5-6 innings and then using the bullpen after that.
That's right.
So you have to be able to have someone with versatility that can play, multiple positions in the infield in order to give up those additional fielders for the pitchers.
That's right.
And a lot of teams only carry 4 outfielders total.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's that's what we're looking at with Hao Yuli. He's going to be a versatile, multi position defender, kind of utility that can put a bat in the ball.
Put a bat in the ball.
Like,
Yep.
now, and those type of players, they have a role.
Yeah, absolutely they do. Right?
So, but we don't know how he's going to pan out, but again, I just keep going back to this. There's a plan in place. They have a type of player they like, and they keep acquiring those players. And, eventually, you got to hit somewhere. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really it for the Tigers. There wasn't.
No.
They didn't
There's no
buy.
relief
They
pitching.
didn't buy. They didn't sell.
No.
Right. I mean, other than Lorenzen, that was it.
I kind of assumed that's what was going to happen. Like, I didn't really talk much about the relief pitchers because I don't think they were going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You're not going to get much for relief pitchers, and I think that Foley and Ling have more value being on the roster than they do trading them for someone else.
Okay.
I like those guys. There's a couple other relievers that you can make a case to try trading, but
Right.
I mean, if we don't want them, why would someone else? You gotta look at it that way, And again, maybe the return wasn't worth it. So, but I kind of always thought it was going to be both Lorenzen and Rodriguez going. That's what I thought the whole time, and we're a little disappointed with Rodriguez.
We are, because we're not going to get anything for him.
No, nothing. It's done.
I would say he's almost guaranteed he's going to opt out.
Yep.
Right. And that's, that's just that's the game, right? He played it. And hopefully he ends up in a place that he wants to be.
Well, he's going to get the final yes or no, right?
Yeah.
Like he gets to dictate now. So
yeah.
But I don't know how Rodriguez is. I don't know him personally or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of felt like the team was pretty. When he last year, disappeared for months on end, right?
That was mentioned too. He took some personal time.
Yeah.
Away from the team.
Yeah. And it just kind of seemed like
6 weeks,
the team
I think
was. It seemed like it was longer than that. Maybe it was only 6 weeks, but it did seem longer.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like the team, dealt with that and was like, hey, he needs this time and stuff like that, and gave it to him. And
yep.
I don't know. I hope it wasn't anything that was, done on purpose.
Right.
Despite the team or
why
something.
would despite, because that's.
And again, we don't know. We're just saying we hope it's not that, right? We're not making any accusations or anything.
The questions there is when he goes and becomes a free agent, I think teams are going to think about that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
They could.
He'll opt out of his contract, and even though he doesn't have to sign with these teams that are in the 10 teams, it would be very depressing if he signs with the Dodgers.
It would be. Big slap in the face.
To me, at that point, it was on purpose.
It was personal.
Yeah, it was a personal thing to get back at the team.
Yeah.
So, something to watch for in the off season as that comes up.
Yeah, got a while to go, yeah, but yeah.
We do.
Yeah, we're definitely watching it.
So wasn't high profile trade deadline? I mean, there were some big names, obviously Scherzer and Verlander, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
there's no Juan Soto or anything like that.
No.
No.
And there was rumor that he was even on the market.
Yeah.
Right? They were willing to give him up to try and get back some of the players that they gave up to get him just a year ago or whatever.
And that made no sense to me. If you're the GM that traded for Juan Soto and gave up all those assets to get him,
yep.
And now a year later, you're admitting that you were wrong after giving up those assets and trying to get assets back,
sounds like he's going to be looking for a new job.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And who would then want to touch that guy, the 10-foot pole, because he gave up all these high-profile, high-ranked prospects?
Yeah.
The guy would probably never get a job again if he did that.
I wouldn't think so.
But, I mean, again, as a GM, you got to listen to all offers, though. Maybe there was some sort of offer that came in you know, or potentially, and it was like, you know, hey, we'll give you 10 of our top prospects, right? And it's like, well, yeah, then you got to listen to that offer if something like that happens.
Well,
but
yeah.
And maybe that's where the rumor got out. Oh, they're listening to offers from Juan Soto, and it's like, but it was some unrealistic, like, you know, offer or whatever. But anyways, I don't know. We have no idea what's going on. You know, we just read the news and
we make assumptions like any other writer, right? Because, well, I think we're at a little disadvantage just because we're not in there trying to interview, you know, GMs or teams.
And we need to be.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're looking
MLB
for
team, send us some press credentials. Let us get in there.
Let us get in. We would just like to sit in for a few minutes. That's it.
Be like, and maybe ask a question.
Right. Just one. I'm gonna let him ask a question.
Be like,
we're both gonna put our hand up so it doubles our chances of getting picked,
right.
And then I'm gonna defer to him.
Remember the movie, like, what was it? Was it Deep Impact? Or was it Armageddon? Where the lady got to get I don't know, it's Deep Impact, right?
Yeah.
Where she got to get the first question from the president, and she was sitting down, you know, middle in the front.
Yeah.
Reserved
Deep
seat.
Impact, yeah.
And gets the first question.
And
that's what we're talking about,
yeah.
right? Like, give us the first question.
That's what we want. First question. First question is, can we get box seats for the season?
Yeah, for the season.
Behind home plate.
Can you just hire me for the team?
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah. We'll paint lines.
Whatever.
Pull the tarp.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But honestly, guys, like, you know, being Detroit first, you know, Michigan first teams here, there's not a lot to discuss about the Tigers. Right?
There wasn't.
I mean, you know, the big disappointment, of course, was Rodriguez. Hao-Yu Lee, you know, he fits the mold of what they're looking for. And,
and Lorenzen gets to go play for a team that's competing for a championship.
And that's it.
Or pennant.
I mean,
right? So
it's that simple, that cut and dry.
Yeah, it is. So, it wasn't what we kind of, I felt like we were building ourselves up to what the trade deadline could have been.
Yeah, we did.
And then someone burst our bubble and went,
yeah, just kidding. So,
yeah.
But anyways, hopefully, you know, maybe found something here useful. I don't know, but go check out our videos.
Yeah.
And look for us. Subscribe. So you get notified.
Now, see, I was waiting to see if he was going to say it.
Look, we're new to YouTube, all right?
Subscribe.
We do podcasting.
Push the button.
Subscribe.
Push it.
Yeah, a little bell icon.
Yeah.
I guess they say that too, right?
Yeah.
Say that.
Push the little bell. We're good to go.
Yeah. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching, listening. Catch you next time.
Absolutely. See you later.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.